This year's Auburn football team seems significantly worse than a year ago. What's the biggest difference?
Well, Zach, I actually just finished crushing some chicken farm, and I am freaking ready to rock and roll.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining me as he does every Tuesday, Charlie 5, as we broadcast live from Barbaritos. I think it's interesting, Charlie 5, when you look at this year's team and all the situations surrounding it and compare it to last year's team. As far as production on the field and excitement on the field, totally different. But then you really get down to the nitty-gritty, there's not a whole lot of differences between the two teams.
There's really not. There's three big differences. There is three big differences. And I'm sorry, this is probably going to hurt some feelings, and it just is what it is. You got a different offensive coordinator, a different defensive coordinator, and you got a different quarterback. Everything else is the same. Defensive line should be better. It's not. Defensive backfield, you brought in new players. You got tons of talent. It's not any better. And then you look at the offensive line. It's the same offensive line that last year you probably could win 9 games if you don't have an injury to Bo, and they're playing worse. Your wide receivers are playing pretty much the same as they've been, and your quarterback play is putrid. That's the only three changes. The guys that we had this whole they were forced. These coordinators were forced on Bryan Harsin. He didn't have a chance because these guys were forced on. Well, you know what? They're gone, and we look worse on both sides of the ball.
I think we all knew kind of going into it. It's like, okay, these are the guys that it really kind of seems that Bryan Harsin wanted the whole time. Yeah, his group from Boise State, Eric Kiesau leading the offense, and Jeff Schmedding leading the defense. And it's like, this is what you got. And we talked about it when it happened. It's like, cool. All right, Bryan Harsin's got his guys. He probably should have been able to get them from the get-go. And like, okay, let's see if it works or not. And so far, it has not worked. We haven't seen any sort of aggression on either side of the football. Both sides are very vanilla. And I originally thought, Charlie 5, that through the first 2 games of the season, they were just choosing to be vanilla because they were withholding information from Penn State. They didn't want Missouri and LSU to see things because, yeah, you want to empty the bank and throw everything you got against Penn State. But after this past weekend, I'm now just wondering if these are just 2 basic units, if it's just a basic offense and a very passive defense, because after what we saw at Penn State, that's pretty much what it looked like to me.
Exactly. And this doesn't just go just to Penn State. We have played 8 straight quarters of putrid football. Absolutely not even subpar, like poor, not subpar, poor football for 8 consecutive quarters.
Yep.
So this idea that we may just magically get better it's not like it just happened on Saturday. And honestly, I said it after the first game, and people said I was being, maybe being too negative, whatever, when we talked about should we start off 5-0, and I said, I'm worried about the offensive line and can we run the ball? And it's exactly what's happened. Penn State came in and absolutely big boyed us and shut us down, won the trenches on both sides, and we made no adjustments. We had no real it seemed like no real plan to adjust at all. Like it was just hit in the mouth from the beginning, and we could do nothing about it. It's almost like we didn't even expect it. Everything that happens, we seem surprised about it.
Yeah, and it just goes back to everything looks more difficult than it should. I mean, especially on the offensive side of the ball, offense looks hard right now, and that's something that shouldn't be the case when you have an offensive-minded head coach. When we were eating lunch here at Barbaritos, I made the comment to you, something along the lines of, man, it's just annoying how long Auburn's had an offensive-minded head coach, and the offense just hasn't really been there. And to me, that's frustrating when you look throughout all of college football and, other schools are hiring these offensive-minded coaches, and their offense has a spark. And it's just like, why didn't we get that here?
Well, let me ask you this, Zach. Was Bo the difference? I mean, seriously, was Bo the difference? We were 6-2. We were 6-2, I believe, before he got injured. We had scored 5 straight touchdowns against Mississippi State. He goes down, and we haven't been able to walk and chew gum at the same time since Bo's been out. I mean,
his performance against BYU was super impressive. Led Oregon to a big ranked win there.
And before anybody says anything about BYU, they would beat the brakes off of Auburn right now. Just believe that. They would beat the absolute brakes off
They look
Auburn.
better than Penn State does. And so, yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you there. Yeah, but just looking at it, I do have a little bit of an objection to the initial discussion of like only 3 things are different, just the quarterback and the coordinators. Sure. I do think the defense is worse than it was a year ago, and I don't think it's all coordinator related. You know, I love Roger McCreary. You lose a number 1 corner, it really impacts the rest of what your defense looks like. But also, like, I haven't been impressed with linebacker play. Cam Riley had a pretty solid game against Mercer, but the run stopping ability of the linebackers against Penn State was awful. Like, it was really, really bad. It was almost like which surprised me a great deal, if I'm being honest with you, both with Owen Papo and Cam Riley. I expected more from both of those guys as far as stopping Penn State's rushing attack. It's like losing Zacoby. Like, let's don't act like losing Zacoby McClain wasn't a big deal, because he was productive, and I also think it excited a lot of the defense. I mean, he and Smoke, and you can say what you want about Smoke. Did he want to cover tight ends running a seam? No, but man, his teammates loved him, and when he talked, they listened to every single word that he had to say. So, like, let's don't downplay and disrespect those guys. I think that's where, and I'm not saying that you were doing that, but I just think Auburn did lose stuff, but you see that all throughout the SEC. I mean, we were talking about Georgia had 15 guys drafted in the league, and they somehow look better.
They look better.
That's just going to be part of what you do is you have to reload if you're going to be a successful program in any conference, especially the SEC. And Auburn did not do that defensively.
But we were told this defense is attacking. This defense is different. This defense, we coached the Bama game. Like, we call those plays. The defensive line arguably has gotten better, like better talent, and they're not able to execute. Like, the defensive line is deeper than it was last year, and they're not able to execute. So I don't know. We listened to this. People being forced on Harsin, people not given the freedom to make his own decision. To me, the only big differences I see are from this team last year to this year is the offensive court. The guy calling the plays is different. The guy calling the plays on defense is different, and the quarterback's different. And it just is what it is after that.
Yeah, there just doesn't seem to be any sort of sophistication on either side of the football. All right, one of the things that's not different is his offensive line. Is it time to quit blaming Gus Malzahn for the offensive line troubles? We discuss that in just a moment. Right here on Locked On Auburn. Charlie 5, have you tried to get gas lately? It's ridiculous.
It's tough.
It's tough with gas prices going up, with inflation going up. You're cringing at the pump. You're getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant. You need to head over to Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. And with every purchase, I'm personally earning cash back thanks to Upside. It's such an easy app to use. All you have to do is use Upside and use promo code LOCKED, LOCKED, and then you just redeem all of these deals that are in the Upside app, and you take a picture of your receipt, and then about 24 hours later, you pop up with money, real money in your account. It's not like you have to use it at certain places. You can deposit it in your account through PayPal. You can do a wire transfer. I believe you can even get a check in the mail. You also can get gift cards and other redeemable deals there as well. So download the free Upside app today. Use promo code LOCK to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using promo code LOCKED. Charlie 5, we are live from Barbaritos. Yes. Shout out to Discord member Joe with 2 E's hanging out with us.
Yes, sir. Joey.
Yep. Panthers fan too. Post Cam Newton, which you don't see a whole lot of. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, we're hanging out with folks here at Barbaritos. What did you get from our friends at Barb's today?
Oh, I got me a burrito bowl, and
Delicious.
Once again, I put a whole bucket of the Chipotle ranch on top. That's the greatest sauce known to mankind.
Yeah, you were talking and kind of made the joke. Can you get this by the gallon?
Yeah.
And I think they thought you were joking. I don't think they realized you were actually asking for it.
I want an actual gallon to take home today.
Yeah. But no, they've got it all going on. Whether it's I got nachos, burrito bowl, tacos. They've got it all. Quesadillas here at Barbaritos. Also, super easy call if you just want to get everything catered, whether it's a football watching party or a work event. Call the store at Barbaritos and mention that you heard it on the podcast. You'll get your catering covered, 15% off of your catering. So be sure to check that out. Wow. And of course, on Mondays, kids eat free, which I'm all about. I'm all about that. So come by and hang out with us. We record every Monday at 3:00. Break some bread, eat some tacos, all that good stuff. All right, Charlie 5, is it time for Auburn fans to quit blaming Gus Malzahn for the offensive line issues?
100%.
Tell me why.
I'll tell you why. Because the availability to get players now is so different. It's so much. There's so many more opportunities to get players. Bryan Harsin has had 3 full portal periods prior to February. If you want to talk about after February, what hindered him in recruiting, fine. That's fine. I'll have that argument. I'll have that argument with you. But after December, after signing day in February, this team that we see right now was set. It was pretty much set. We had a late addition of Coy Moore, but for the most part, it was set. When he got here, the portal had just started kicking off. We had guys like Wanya Morris that we had his teammates on our daggum team going into the portal. I don't even think we even reached out to him. Then you had the upcoming December. Then you had spring again. You had so many opportunities to add players, and you just didn't do it. You either couldn't get them or you didn't even go after them. And then on top of that, it is what it is on the offensive line. They're just not very talented. And a lot of them have had terrible luck with injuries. And you talked a bunch of them into coming back, which also hindered you being able to get portal guys because they didn't want to come sit for a season or 2 seasons. Those guys want to come play. It's beyond. I'm so tired of we just keep passing the buck back to Gus. This isn't college football of the 1990s, 1980s, where you got to build for 3 years before you can have something. There's high school kids are more ready to play now. Portal guys are available. There's players everywhere. You look at it across the board, everywhere. Alabama. You know who Alabama's starting left tackle is right now?
Tell me.
Tyler Steen from Vanderbilt, who was coming to Auburn until we ran Derek Mason off. Okay, so even Alabama does it. Alabama goes and gets portal guys when they need them. We didn't even try. It didn't even seem like we even tried. And I'm so tired of saying it's one player's problem. It's a whole thing. It's a whole line issue. I know they've worked hard. They've played hard for Auburn, but it's just not good enough to compete at the highest level in this conference. And we did nothing for 3 portal cycles to fix it. And then really you've only brought in, 2 or 3 high school guys? 2 or 3 high school guys. And it's just – so you've brought in 3 offensive linemen to fix your problem. Going into next year, if Harsin were to stay, which obviously, none of us think is going to happen, but if Harsin were to stay, you know how many offensive linemen we lose? A ton.
Does that help if there is a new head coach, does that help them? Because then they can go to any transfer guy and say, hey, there's a really solid chance you start here.
It should have helped. You shouldn't have had this issue last year, but yeah, it should. You're going to have 60% of your offensive linemen are going to turn over. You should be able to sell that. And if you had some type of proof of concept that you would be willing to do that, you might be able to still have the same coaching staff selling that later on. But I'm just tired of passing the buck. I'm so tired of passing the buck.
No, I'm with you, and I think that's going to be something that the next coaching staff looks at, and it's like, okay, well, Tate Johnson's still going to be on campus. Curious to see what Keandre Jones does, because I thought he was going to leave and go to the NFL, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that anymore. So, you get him back, and I believe Troxel and Coffey have extra eligibility.
There's no way Troxel can.
Troxel does it. I meant to say Killian Zaire. I meant to say Killian there, which he low-key had an incredible game against Penn State. Nobody wants to talk about that, but yeah,
I think he graded the highest
by a lot. Yeah, we only had 2 players that graded on PFF above a 70, which is terrible.
I could be wrong on this stat. But it was either 32 or 36 quarterback pressures that were registered. It was either 32 or 36. We only had 38 dropbacks.
That's crazy. There's no way that's right.
I'm telling you. Look it up. I'm almost positive that's the correct stat. I listened to it on a different show. It blew me away. Fact check me, but I'm almost positive I'm right.
Okay.
It's incredible. That's like insanely bad. And
yeah, you may be right, actually.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
I'm telling you, it's so bad. It's so bad. I mean, and then one little quick sidebar before we leave. We heard this thing. I heard this from Harsin, execution, which to me is almost another form of passing the buck. That if the play – that basically that's telling me is that you think you called all the right stuff. The players just didn't execute it.
That really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, actually.
Hugely.
And I talked about that a little bit on yesterday's show. That really rubbed me the wrong way.
And I'm going to give you an example of why that line was garbage. 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line, okay? Granted, a dude got in TJ's face fast, but we ran an underneath. We like snuck Shed underneath, which said love Shed, not a very dynamic guy after the catch. That's strike number 1. Then we ran 2 clear out routes to the end zone. It was a 2-point play that we ran on the 8-yard line, and he threw a 3-yard pass. That's a 2-point play. You run a clear out and you run a drag underneath, and you hope for some type of natural pick. That is a 2-point play we ran on the 8-yard line. Yep. And it yielded exactly the results that a 2-point play would have yielded from the 8-yard line. He got tackled after 3 yards. So you know what? Yeah, they executed it. They executed that play. But that was the play that was called. And I'm just
Penn State had 6 sacks, according to Pro Football Focus, 7 quarterback hits, and 27 hurries.
That's 38 dropbacks. Are you kidding me?
That's unbelievable.
How can you play quarterback?
Yeah, and people want to say, it's Robby Ashford should be instead of TJ. It's like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And I think we actually may see that. It sounds like TJ's a little banged up, so we'll see what happens with that. But just total disaster.
I'm sorry for being negative.
You're not booging today.
I'm not booging right now. I'm not booging at all.
All right, hey, coming up, we're going to hear from Auburn tight end John Samuel Shenker. Not a fun interview to do. He did not want to talk about everything that was happening, and I do not blame him. But before we jump into that, Charlie 5, how can people find you, hear you, all that good stuff?
Absolutely. If you still want to listen to me, you can find me on Twitter at @the_Charlie_5, at the Auburn Locked On Auburn Discord, auburnlive.com, the corner message board, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the Dad Bod Golf Pod. It's positivity on the Dad Bod Golf Pod.
That's right. No, y'all have fun. There's no question about it. Hey, today's show is brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. Charlie 5, I know you buy a lot of your Auburn gear from Alumni Hall, especially stuff for your kiddos. This shirt I got from Alumni Hall, which is awesome. That's why I look so great. It's from Alumni Hall. But if you're an Auburn fan and you're not shopping at Alumni Hall, you're not an Auburn fan. Sorry.
No.
Hate to break it to you.
Amateur.
And that's okay. We need amateur fans too. But if you want to up your game a little bit, head over to Alumni Hall. No, all joking aside, they've got all kinds of different apparel, men's, women's, children, pets, a lot of pet stuff in there as well. And if you don't need clothes and you just need like Auburn stuff, they've got you covered there too. So be sure to check out our friends at Alumni Hall. You can go to alumnihall.com to order online, or you can go to their location in Tigertown. That's where I go to get a lot of my Auburn gear. So check it out, alumnihall.com. And joining us as he does every week here on Locked On Auburn, courtesy of our friends at Crawford Willis Group at eXp Realty, Auburn tight end John Samuel Shenker. And look, I don't think it's crazy to say that Saturday's game did not go how you guys expected it to. So your role as a captain and a leader on this team, what's kind of the message to the locker room moving forward?
Yeah, just yesterday we came in, it was just putting it behind us, learning from all the mistakes that we made, which is a huge part of being successful next week, is just learning what we did wrong and making sure we don't do that again. And I think we did that yesterday, and now it's completely on to Mizzou. We're not worrying about anybody else. It's about playing the best football that we possibly can, just clean everything up, just playing a clean game, because I don't think we have to this point overall as a team. So that's the goal this week.
Is there part of that that's a little bit of good news, John Samuel, as far as like, hey, if we do what we're capable of, we've got a chance to be a really solid football team?
Yeah, that's the thing that even if we played the exact same game, what I'm thinking of, we've played the exact same game for 3 weeks, the type of game, and the opponent's just gotten better. So it's nothing they're doing. It's completely us. I mean, we played a Mercer team, and we had turnovers, and we just didn't play clean football in all areas on offense. But we beat them because they're a lesser opponent, and San Jose State was better. We squeaked away with that one, and then you play a good opponent in Penn State, and you're going to play the same game, you're going to lose. So, it starts – everyone has a responsibility. Every room on the offense, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, O-line, and we just have to play clean football. And that starts in practice. So that's the goal this week, just to play a clean game, and just, why not, and see what happens.
Yeah. So with the goal of playing a clean game, what does that look like as far as prep? Does clean mean, no turnovers? Does it mean, just make sure you do your job specifically, less penalties? I mean, what all goes into prep when you're trying to do all of that?
Yeah, so I think all those things you said are right. The first one's execution of your play, so just knowing what you have to do, executing that assignment, and then obviously less penalties, no turnovers. Because I think right now we're like minus 11 in the turnover realm or something, which is
I think
not, yeah, which is not, that's not winning football. We can't win that way, but that's on all of us. So, yeah, just a cleaner game, just not being ourselves. It's hard to play a football game and try to beat two teams at once when you're trying to play yourself and play the opponent, especially when the opponent's talented. So we have to just focus on playing our opponent and make them beat us, not us beat ourselves.
What all went into the interception, John Samuel? It looked like part of it was TJ was just trying to throw it away, didn't quite get enough juice on it. Then I saw some other reports that maybe folks were running a different route. What all went into that play from your point of view?
Yeah, you're talking about the one where he came from behind, the guy that tackled him kind of from behind. Yeah.
He was going down, and it looked like he was trying to throw it out of bounds, but it didn't have enough on it. Yeah,
there's a lot in that one. But, yeah, he was trying to throw out of bounds. On a rollout like that, there's going to be pressure from the back, called the backside. So there's a few teaching points for TJ to run, but he just didn't feel that guy. He was going to throw it away. And when that guy hit him, it took out, kind of the juice in the ball. And then, we didn't have guys running the right routes. Thought the protection was good on that play. He had time. That wasn't really an issue there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of miscues. There was a lot of that during the game. And so this week, it's focusing on your job, not in a selfish way, but just you have to execute your assignment. You can't worry about what everybody else is doing. Because if we make mistakes, and that's the kind of things that happen.
And then John Samuel, the rushing game. I mean, you guys have three really, really talented running backs. Is space the biggest issue there? Just not getting that push up front for those guys?
Yeah, and I just don't think we had enough carries. I thought, but during the game, we don't really think about that. We're just playing, we're just doing what they call. And so you don't really get to see that, but yeah, we love our running backs. We thought we ran the ball pretty decent early. We were pretty consistent with it. So, yeah, but it's all, it goes back to the little things during practice. And we have to get a lot better in a few areas this week. And clean football is the number one goal.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Killian Zaire. His numbers are like Pro Football Focus in the analytics. Like he had an outstanding game from a pass blocking point of view. What have you seen from him?
No, he's legit. he's a staple in our offense for sure. I can always when I'm working with him and blocks and things, I always know, what we're doing. I know we're going to be successful because it's Killian over there. So yeah, he's very very smart in football. He works really hard. He's a guy that he rarely makes mental errors and things like that. He's very on top of things. So definitely an asset on the offensive line.
Yeah. John Samuel, I'll get your thoughts on quarterbacks and then obviously Missouri moving forward in just a moment. But these weekly visits with John Samuel are brought to you by our friends at the Crawford Willis Group. If you're buying or selling your home or looking at a second home or an investment property, these are the folks to make sure to reach out to, and they're going to take care of you. We use them to list our old home as we just recently moved, and under 12 hours, we were under contract. We got over asking and a lot of contingencies removed. These folks know what they're doing in the Auburn, Opelika, Lee County area, and so you need to trust them. Their motto is converting clients into friends, and they do just that. Be sure to check out their website, crawfordwillisgroup.com, and they'll help you with all of your real estate needs. John Samuel Shenker, I mean, we've seen moments at Finley. I mean, some of the throws that he made, there was a few to Shedrick that I think were really, really impressive throws, and getting Javarius Johnson involved. And then Robby Ashford comes in the second half, and he had some throws to Malcolm that were pretty solid as well. Is this still the plan moving forward to kind of use both of these guys? And then once the game's kind of out of hand one way or the other, they move Robby in full time. Is that still kind of the plan moving forward, do you think?
I don't know. That's, we don't get told. That's just really a coach's thing.
Yeah.
So we just play whoever's in there. But no, I'm not sure. I don't know what their plans are moving forward. I'm sure Coach Harsin will address that at some point, but I haven't heard anything as of now of changes, but that could be coming here in the next few days if that's what Coach Harsin wants.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's been so much talk about, Zach Calzada. Does he deserve a shot? Is this a guy that you're seeing good things from him in practice, or is this just kind of something where it's like, hey, the two guys in front of you are doing okay, and we just kind of need to see what happens with them first?
Yeah, I don't know. Calzada's he's just kind of been on the back burner lately. He's gotten some reps in practice. So I don't know. We'll see when we start practice tomorrow how that looks. Would I be surprised? Probably not if he had a shot, but, I don't know. I don't know what Coach Harsin is thinking for game plan wise for Missouri because it's really what's best for us to beat Missouri. I know TJ's banged up too, so we'll see, what that looks like moving forward.
Yeah. And then looking ahead to Missouri, John Samuel, this is a team that Auburn doesn't play a whole lot just by the nature of, the Western Division, Eastern Division type situations. But what do we know about this Missouri team as you guys start to kind of peek ahead and look at this 11 o'clock matchup on Saturday?
Well, it's the start of SEC ball for both teams. So this is a big win if you can get it to start 1-0 in the SEC. It's really a new season for teams that are starting in the SEC. You're getting out of the out-of-conference stuff and you get into the meat of your schedule and the ones that really matter. If you can start 1-0 in the SEC, that's a big advantage. You add some momentum, and that'd be a big clear-up from last week for us just to, flush that loss in a way that we're 1-0 in the SEC. So they're a good team, obviously.
Yeah,
I think they're 2-1 as well. So we just got to come prepared and play a clean football game.
John Samuel Shenker, Auburn tight end, thank you so much for your time as always, and best of luck this Saturday to you.
Thank you, War Eagle.
That is John Samuel Shenker joining us. Always appreciate his time. That is another edition of Locked On Auburn in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can read all of my written work at auburndaily.com. And we'll see you tomorrow for a little War Rapport Wednesday. All right here on Locked On Auburn.